The summer before college, I worked an office job at a car repair shop. A mechanic named John was interested in me almost immediately, and after only 2 days of work, he asked me out. Our relationship progressed like a whirlwind. He completely captured my heart. I introduced him to all my friends, and everyone liked him. But then, something terrible happened. One night, he called me and said he had broken his arm in an accident. He said he wouldn't be able to work for a while and didn't know how he would pay his rent. I offered to help and said I'd bring him $2,000 right away. I really needed that money for my first year of college, but I believed he would pay me back, and he did. The next week, he gave me $400, and then I asked when he could pay back the rest, and that's when everything started to go wrong. He didn't reply to my messages. I tried calling him, but suddenly couldn't reach him at all. I called his roommate, who said John had left. He took everything with him. His bed, his belongings, all gone. I started to panic. Where had he gone? I contacted everyone I could to ask around, and one person hung up as soon as I mentioned John's name. Then he texted me saying John owed him a large sum of money, and he didn't want to hear anything about John unless it was a message confirming he had paid back the debt. I was completely shocked. Did something happen to him? A few days later, a friend of his called me and said he thought John was severely depressed and had joined some meditation retreat to find himself. Oh, that made sense. I mean, he always liked meditation. Then one night, there was a knock on the door. It was late, and I prayed it was John, but it wasn't. It was an elderly woman, and I didn't know who she was. She was crying and said she was John's mother, and she had just received news that John had passed away. I started sobbing uncontrollably, and we just stood there hugging. She said son owed a lot of money and was executed by some gang. No! I screamed. It couldn't be true. Son didn't gamble, but it was the truth, and I had to learn to accept it. He was gone, he wouldn't be back, and they wouldn't hold a funeral either. It took me a long time to get over it. I dropped out of college, but friends convinced me it would be good for me. Eventually, I met someone new, a guy named Ann, and we quickly progressed to a serious relationship. I told him about Son, and he was very understanding. A year later, Ann planned a surprise trip for my birthday, and I finally started to feel completely normal again. He rented a car for us to go to a cabin by the sea, but on the way, the car broke down unexpectedly. We were truly in the middle of nowhere, so we had to call everywhere to find a towing company. It took over an hour to find someone who could help, and then another 30 minutes to get towed there. When we arrived, I went inside and sat down, and I couldn't help but think about Son. The last time I was in a repair shop was when we used to work together. Anna was busy talking to the mechanic, then he called me over. Honey, I just told the mechanic that you used to work at that shop. I looked up, and I thought I was hallucinating. It was Son. My whole body went cold, and I truly thought I was going to pass out. Ann rushed over to ask if I was okay, and I told him that was Son. It was definitely Son. I started shouting his name, and the manager came over to ask if I was okay. I asked where Son went. He said there was no one named Son here, then turned asking if I needed to lie down somewhere. They didn't believe me, but I swear on my life that it was him. I messaged Son's old friends, and one of them replied immediately, saying he believed me and would drive up to try and find Son. But then you won't believe what happened. He fixed our car and drove it away. The manager yelled and called his name. Tongue, come back here or I'll call the police, he yelled, while I stood there shouting that his name was Son, not Tongue. After that, I decided to call his mother. She answered and pretended not to know who I was, then said her son was alive and well and that clearly my head was the problem. Things were getting stranger and stranger. I called the police and told them everything. They said Son was on their missing persons list, and they had been trying to find him for over a year. I told them he had just stolen our car and gave them the license plate number. They said they would try to find him. And since the police believed me, Ann believed me too, but they couldn't find Son. However, they went to his mother's house, and it turned out she had been trying to cover for her son by helping him fake his death because he owed too much money. He was even blackmailing her, saying he would sell her house if she didn't cooperate. I felt disgusted. This is too crazy. It turns out he was dating me just to scam me for money, and all this time I thought he loved me. I felt like a fool. Well, surely the police will catch him soon. I mean, finding him shouldn't be that hard, and when they do, he's in big trouble. He owes too many people too much money. Now, I'm actually grateful our car was damaged. Otherwise, we would never have discovered he was still alive. Still, I'm very upset because my bag and my wallet were in the car. My story ends here. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching till the end, and see you again.